Sorry.
Okay, again, I'd like to echo Joe's remarks. First of all, I think this is awesome. I am so happy to see such a great turnout and see people involved in our community who really care about El Dorado Hills. So I applaud you all. From this map, from the Chamber's point of view, the question really comes down to how many supervisors, how many votes do we believe El Dorado Hills should have out of 5? That really is the question. So I think you as voters should understand what we have now, as as Joe pointed out. Too many J's in here. El Dorado Hills has gone into about 35,000 plus into District 1. That leaves the remaining 5,000 to 6,000 in District 2 out of another 35,000. So if we believe that that's fair representation for El Dorado Hills, then we should all be happy with the map. If we don't believe that, then we should all be commenting about the map. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay? So does anybody have any questions, comments, concerns? Because Joe did such a good job, I don't really have much to share. Yes, sir.
Well, the map seems to be redrawn by a fair process. Do you think, is there a problem statement in your opinion, or is there something we should be concerned about, or is it what it is?
That's a very good question. So my question back to you is, once again, as El Dorado Hills sits today, we in theory do have 3 supervisors, because over in District 5, Ron Brick actually has a small portion of, has a small portion of El Dorado Hills too. And right now, Supervisor Nutting and Supervisor Knight both have a significant part of El Dorado Hills. So again, the question I turn back to you as a voter, are you happy with, in theory, having 1 supervisor represent El Dorado Hills?
And this is a population density map right here. So this map here kind of shows by population density.
I understand what you were saying earlier. In the current situation, we have 3 supervisors who represent us in quantity.
Correct.
1 the majority and 2 less than the majority.
Yeah. Correct.
So what this is going to put almost everyone into 1 district. 35,000
plus.
Out of 42.
Correct.
So we'll have basically 1 supervisor who is wholly involved in our issues, but that will not give us proportional representation for El Dorado Hills, because 80% of the supervisors will have almost no people from El Dorado Hills.
I guess the question that you asked, sir, was, is there a disproportion? And as you see it, there is a second supervisor that's representing El Dorado Hills. I guess the question you have to ask is, and 1 is such a small amount, is a person who's representing these people in El Dorado Hills have the same interest as the person who's representing these people way up here in the country?
Right. Yeah, but isn't that based about population only? It's like the Tahoe section is a lot bigger than El Dorado Hills, but between Strawberry and Kuipers, not a lot of people live there.
Right. Right. So is someone who's representing the people further east have the same interest as someone who's representing the people further west?
But that's the whole idea to the map, what I understand, is they don't have the same interest. Somebody in El Dorado Hills doesn't have the same interest as somebody in Kuipers. Somebody in Placer doesn't have the same interest as somebody in Cool, and vice versa all the way through. It's part of how this county's always been represented. 3 main hubs are El Dorado Hills, Placerville, and Tahoe, with a north and a south rural district. How do you plan on breaking that up where you've got El Dorado Hills represented by more than 1 supervisor in that small section of, because each district has to be 36,202 with plus or minus 1%.
But El Dorado Hills has 42,000 people, so right there says we have to have 2. Now, it depends how you're going to divide that 2 up. Is it going to be 20,000? Is it going to be 30,000 and 12,000? What's the division going to be? Right now, it's 35,000 plus and 6,000. Well, have we taken official positions?
Yeah.
We've taken many positions. But seriously, we came up in January, and our concern from the business community was, as Joe stated earlier, feeling that District 2, as it is today, that El Dorado Hills and our business community was underrepresented. So again, we quoted the code, the section code, which I do have with me, on El Dorado Hills needs to be fairly represented. At that time, we didn't come out and say whether it was 1, 2, or 3 supervisors. So in the meantime, we just actually wrote a letter on Thursday asking for the continuation. That's what Joe's referencing from Supervisor Knight, that he is saying that he's going to support that tomorrow.
So if this map gets adopted, Debbie, what is the direct effect on business in Orlando? Good question.
So he said if this map gets adopted, what is the direct effect on business in El Dorado Hills? I don't have that answer. Obviously, my concern is we do have one vote, one strong vote versus 2 or possibly, 2.2 votes. The long-term effect, we've not really looked at that yet.
Okay.
First of all, El Dorado County doesn't have a whole lot of incentives for businesses to want to come here. I'm not sure what the incentives are, but I believe in order for...
Permitting and fees are the #1 complaint, and ease of gaining the access, the benefits. A city like Folsom, for example, can play bargaining chips because they are a city, so they have their own interests, where we have to go to these supervisors, where when we only have one that sees the benefit, we just can't win.
So I think you've answered your
Yes.
question.
10 years ago, there were many more public hearings on redistricting. And when they got done, they were at impasse for a long time. And they had difficulty finding 3 votes for any map. Supervisor Knight has asked that the matter be continued to give the public more opportunity for input. So I don't think the Board of Supervisors, there are 2 board members here, and you should throw the question at them, but I don't think the Board of Supervisors oppose getting more input on this proposed map, and I believe they're willing to consider alternatives.
What was the town hall for? All the town halls we had all over.
No, I understand. 10 years ago, there was more public input sought, I believe. But regardless, I agree. There's been